Avid Learning, the Royal Opera House, Mumbai, and the Bangalore Literature Festival present Unveiling the Secrets of Eden, a journey through myths and cultures.
So, Lilith, since Adam was alone, God created a woman for him as his companion from the earth. Her name was Lilith. Adam desired Lilith, and Lilith desired Adam. But she would not lay beneath him, and he would not lay beneath her. They fought until Lilith became very angry and decided to leave God's garden and take refuge in the desert. Angels tried to persuade her to return, but she refused. Adam had to treat her as an equal, or she would not return. Later, when she learned that Adam had taken another wife called Eve, she swore to destroy his children. Lilith wandered in the darkness and became the mother of demons, who cause miscarriage, stillbirth, and fatal childhood fevers. She also became the mother of demons who fill men with dreams that make them spill seed outside the womb of women.
Somewhere out there is not the man you're fated to meet and mate with, but female kin, blood sisters, soul sisters, big sisters, little sisters, spirit sisters, flesh sisters, sisters. I slept during the day. At night, I rushed out in search of distractions. Party time, demons and their babble. The blur of living in the moment for instant gratification made time elastic. The impossible happened. I forgot all about Adam. But it would be too hasty to say that Adam forgot me. That moment when a woman knows because she checks deep in her heart and her hand comes out empty-handed, that she cares not is when she arrives into her future. I had stopped reaching out for stranger demons, one-night stand demons, unshaven demons. The unknown ceased to excite. Now I went back with them to their caves, eager to see their pet tigress or turtle. It intoxicated me to exchange grievances, to make them laugh their guttural, scary laughs that shook the ground they stood on. Wait, they chuckled, say it again. They loved my imitation of Adam, his pulpit speech, annoyed look, and erectile dysfunction.
Lilith, the first woman, got written out of books. Devdutt?
See, stories that we have access to were written by men. So let's, unless someone knows. So all stories are written by men. Writing was a male profession. All religious scriptures are designed to manipulate power. And that's the way it is. So when you write about something, you don't write about something, you are essentially negotiating how society should function.
What is it about Lilith that appealed to you, that you had to tell her story?
So when Lilith is thrown out of Eden because she and Adam have issues of control, issues of who really is an Edenite, okay, who belongs to Eden, she walks out and she walks away from Eden, and then when she looks back, she finds that Eden is just a small spot her eye can no longer locate. And what she understands along with that is, I may not have Eden, Eden may not have me, but I have the rest of the earth. And that is something that we all need to understand, because if you want to find Eden on Google Maps, it will be somewhere in Mesopotamia or Lebanon, going by the 4 tributaries mentioned in Eden. But the symbolic Eden that we all carry in our heart or mind inside us, that place we call home, like comfort, serenity, because the literal translation of Eden is a place of pleasure and delight, But everyone gets chucked out of that place. Everyone. We all have an Eden, and then we are out of that Eden at some point or the other in time. In my book, also, in my fiction take on this myth, Uh, there is a time when Lilith and Eve meet, and like she said, Lilith is very patronizing because she thinks, to be a wife, to be to be married to a man is the lowest a woman can go, because then she's not her own boss. But in Kerala they say co-wife. I don't know, yeah, co-wife is like your wife's, your brother's wife or something. I mean, anyway, co-wife, okay? So she goes there, and she goes there with all that jealousy and anger and scorn and superiority complex, because you are living with a man I dumped, But as she watches Eve and she realizes that Eve is very, very different from her, I think that is what modern feminism is all about.
Men who show feminine instincts are scary men. Women who show what we consider to be masculine are scary women. So I think if you don't conform to a type that is familiar, you feel feel scared. And I think Indian mythology talks about it, and global mythology talks about it. But everywhere you have this idea of the one who you can make sense of and the who you cannot make sense of. The mysterious one. If you travel to Madhya Pradesh, you travel to Odisha, there are these Chausasht Yogini temples. These temples are unique temples. They're circular, first of all. They don't have a direction. They're circular. And they don't have a roof. And you have women's images on the inside. And they're all very strange women. They have animal heads, they're dancing on animals, they're eating flesh, they're dancing. Somebody has a parrot in the hand, somebody has a snake in her hand, somebody's making music. They're all these wild women. And they're called yoginis. And the reason you don't have a roof is because you don't lock them up. They're worshipped. But we also have the Sumangali, the one who wears the Mangal Sutra, the other woman who's considered to be the auspicious wife. So I think there is always this lurking idea that the housewife or the one who is within the home, her freedom has somehow been taken away. There is this kind of a sense of it. Like you have this, when you go to a goddess temple in India, they give her, if you go to North India, they'll give a chunari, which is a veil, so cover yourself. Or in Maharashtra, they will give veni, tie your hair. So imagine the assumption is the goddess in her raw form has not tied her hair and does not wear clothes. And that's scary. And that is the image of the goddess when we use the word like Kali or we use the word like Chamunda, this kind of and what it means is freedom. It doesn't mean anything else. It just means I want to be myself. And I think Shiny in the book talks about hair. She talks about clothes. She talks about covering herself. And I was like smiling because imagine you're talking about stories which are inspired by ideas from the Middle East. But across the bay, you have in India stories of the same hair, clothing, how you dress, how you walk, how you talk. And I think the scariness is the human fear of the forest, which is undomesticated. Yeah. We don't like and we equate the world with the woman, and life is scary. And we want to control life. We want everything on an Excel sheet, predictable. Yeah. And I think Excel sheet wives are preferred.
I just want to augment what you said. I feel male anger is considered, male aggression is considered quite attractive. And women are told, obviously never lose your temper, never even crack a joke. And even when you laugh, please be silent about it.
Yeah, cover your mouth.
Yeah, cover your mouth, don't show your teeth, and don't make a noise, So male anger as opposed to female anger is always, like he said, peacocking, almost. Like, men lose their temper so that women can swoon. And whereas women, if they lose their temper, they're called hysterical. It's that time of the month. Don't go near her, she's mad. So female anger has never been attractive or socially sold as, nobody brings you a proposal saying, you must meet this girl. She's so short-tempered. She's so angry all the time, you know. Nobody brings you that. But if a guy is angry, they'll just say, he's very opinionated. He really knows what he wants. He is aggressive, but oh my God, look at his paycheck. So this whole feminized, the female anger and the male anger. Whereas with Lilith, what you realize is that if you spend your anger wisely, if you spend it at the right moment, an angry woman who's articulate is a work of art. I just wanted to say that one of the reasons that Lilith is misunderstood as being selfish is that she is the patron demoness of SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome, along with many other things. She oversees many things, but she also oversees this. And what I wrote in my book is that was actually her ultimate act of kindness to women, because she felt not all women want to be mothers, not all women, because there is this biological pitfall and they become mothers, that's not what they signed up for as women. It's something that just happened to them. So to prevent that, and because she felt like being single is a superpower and being childless is a superpower, this was her way of extending a sisterly hand to women so that they would be single and they could leave undesirable spouses or partners and strike out on their own and explore whatever talent or gift they had. So it was not, it may seem from the outside like a selfish act, but it was actually an act of a lot of kindness. If you read Devdutt's book, Sati Savitri, it's fascinating because, he has this idea of an Apsara, there is Sati, there is Savitri, there's Shakuntala, there are so many of women, and they want to be faithful to themselves, and some of them want to be faithful to another. And I think whatever keeps them happy, we cannot interfere with that feeling. Incidentally, I just want to add that the word Lilith is also the root word for lullaby. Because, mothers sing Lilith goodbye, that is a song, and that is to keep Lilith away and to keep their babies safe. That's just an aside.
So, mythologically speaking, Eve gives birth to humanity. So all of us are children of Adam and Eve. So in Persian and Arabic, they'll say Adam Jat, the humanity. And Lilith becomes the mother of demons. And so if you see some of those American soap operas which deal with supernatural spirits, Lilith keeps coming back, and all the demons belong to her. And it's sort of this division of the good guys and the bad guy. As I said, there's a very clear dichotomy in Western myths. In India, it's always this kind of it's like a yin and yang. One becomes the other, one becomes the other in one form. But there are stories, one of the reasons I wrote the book is because I wanted to draw attention to, I realize Indians and, we are exposed to the Bible because of the schools and especially because of convent education. We are familiar with the Old Testament, the New Testament. We're not familiar with the Jewish tradition.
Shiny's Eden Abandoned, when you read it, you'll start casting it in your head, because when I read it, I kept thinking that it could be performed. A solo performance in this woman at the Royal Opera House. We can cast it today. and Asad, we can get you to put that together for us, because really the way she's written Eden Abandoned, it's like you're inside a woman's heart and her mind and her imagination and her expectations, and you're actually living her. So so I really recommend that you read it and that you get the context and this, how Devdutt gives us the relevance and the complexities and how the world in a way is united.